The problem isn't losing fat, it's doing it for long enough without quitting. So instead of getting to that 3 or 4 week mark and go, I can't do this is too hard, I'm going to tell you in this video all the things that feel productive but are actually making it harder to lose fat, and everything that I did to get in photo shoot shape and still be in the best shape of my life at 45, and the process I use with every single client that comes into my business. But the first thing that really needs to be talked about is the fitness industry is just a sham and a lie. Making false promises on timescales, selling supplements that don't do anything for your body. Because the truth of the matter is, health and well-being isn't an overnight fix. Because you didn't go to bed skinny and wake up fat, and you won't go to bed fat and wake up skinny. Not that we're trying to become skinny, and any rapid transformation that you see is often because the person that's transformed in a short space of time already had the muscle underneath their fat, and they're just shaving away the fat to see the muscle, which is what toning is. You don't tone a muscle, you don't tone a body. Muscle gets bigger and smaller, gets bigger for building it through training, gets smaller if you don't use it. And fat cells do the same, they get bigger and smaller. They get bigger if you eat more calories than you're burning, and they get smaller if you eat less calories than you're burning. But you already know about a calorie deficit. So what I want to give you are the reasons why you're finding it very difficult to stay in it. Now here's something you may remember your parents saying, or you've probably said it to your children. You can't have it all. And that's the same with fat loss. If you're trying to lose fat, you can't also train for performance. I wouldn't recommend anybody training to do the marathon in the shortest possible time and the quickest possible time ever and diet, because you can't feel your body. But one of the main things that people take up when they first try to lose body weight, cardio, cardio, cardio. When actually cardio can be counterproductive. It sounds crazy, I know. When you increase high intensity exercise, your body sees that quick expenditure of energy, and it can reserve energy throughout the rest of the day. Things that you won't notice. You might slow down, you might be sitting down more, you might get less steps throughout the day. But not only that, some people, myself included, high intensity exercise drives your hunger up more than the calories that have been burnt in that session. So then it makes it very difficult to rely on willpower and discipline because you're just so hungry. Now, cardio is super important. I'm not saying give up cardio for the rest of your life because that would be crazy. But whilst dieting, focus on one task, get that done, then move on to the next. Once you've lost the fat and you only have to do it once, you can then incorporate cardio. You can incorporate other things. So what exercise should you do? Intentional walking, going out for a walk is really important. It doesn't upregulate your hunger. It's great for your mental health, helps with digestion. And living in a world that we live in now, general movement is super low. Well, according to Men's Health, we're only averaging like 4,500 steps per day, which is next to nothing. And that's because we live in a world of automation, deliveries, we can work from home. And when we understand where all our calories are burnt throughout the day, we can see why getting general steps in, general movement, is really important for our overall metabolism. So our calories burnt throughout the day are through something called our total daily energy expenditure. And it's made up of 4 things. The first one is our BMR, basal metabolic rate. And this is basically our staying alive calories. If you were to lay in bed all day doing nothing, this is the amount of calories you would burn. And that's anywhere between 60 and 70%. The more muscle you have on your body, the higher that percentage will be. Which is why resistance training is really important through dieting and in life. And we'll come back to that in a little bit. After our BMR, we have something called NEAT, which is our non-exercise activity thermogenesis. What this is your daily movement. You're fidgeting, doing the housework, walking to work. That's our second biggest calories burnt throughout the day. Then we have something called our thermic effect of food. This is the calories that we burn digesting the food that we consume. We've got 3 macronutrients. You've got fats, carbohydrates, and protein. Protein's 4 calories per gram, carbohydrates is 4 calories per gram, and fats is 9. Protein will burn up to 30% of the calories just digesting that food. So if you have 100 calories of protein, only 70 calories will be absorbed. Carbohydrates is around 5 to 10%, and fats is 1 to 3% of calories. All very important in the body for different reasons, and that's a video for another day. And then the final piece of the puzzle, number 4, is our EAT, exercise activity thermogenesis, which is purposeful exercise. So the average throughout the week for most people is around 5%. There are some extremely active people that might be nearer 10%, but it's still the smallest piece of the puzzle. So when someone says you can't out-exercise a bad diet, It's completely true. And you'll get people saying, well, my fitness tracker on my watch said I burnt 600 calories in that last workout. Yes, well, Stanford University showed that most of these fitness trackers and calorie trackers on our watches are up to 93% incorrect, which is a massive margin of error. And don't get your knickers in a twist. I'm not saying don't do exercise. Exercise is super important. Like I said, resistance training is really important. And the reason for that is because if you're in any calorie deficit, and this is why the media goes on about people on the GLP-1, the fat loss drugs and muscle wastage, it's not the fat loss drugs that are driving that directly. It's because people are eating less food, they're consuming less protein, they're in a deficit, which means that when our body is in a deficit, it doesn't just look to pull from body fat, it looks to pull from all tissue of the body. So it will draw from areas that aren't being used. So if you're not resistance training, you're not lifting weights, you will lose lean tissue, you will lose muscle. And we need muscle so that we don't get frail as we get older. It helps increase our BMR overall, and it means that we can move well and feel strong. Plus it gives us the look that many people are looking for once they've lost the body fat. If you don't build muscle and you just lose fat, you'll always feel like something's not quite right. Why don't I look like that person on the cover of Men's Health? It's because you've got a very low percentage of muscle on the body. So you need to make sure you're eating adequate protein and doing resistance training. 1.2 to 1.6 grams per kilo of goal body weight will be enough protein for most people. If you take my over 40s fat loss diagnostic quiz in the description below, it will work out your protein goal for you. And talking of calculations, when you work out your calories, the one thing we really need to be aware of is because our general movement is a lot lower than it used to be 10, 15 years ago, a lot of calorie calculators online are incorrect because they don't take into account that we're moving less. They base your activity on the number of times you're going to the gym. And you could go to the gym 3 times per week, but the rest of the week you're sat on your bum in front of the computer and getting barely any movement in. So if your calories are incorrect, you might be in a 200 calorie deficit every single day. You get to the weekend and think, I've been dieting all week, I've been good, I've stuck to my calories, I'll have a bit more flexibility at the weekend, and then you wipe out that deficit. And that's why you're never losing weight, you're just treading water. And that's another reason you think I've been dieting really hard because you've used the incorrect number. You wipe out the deficit at the weekend, you think this is impossible. Like I'm on it most of the week and then I just have a little bit of flexibility at the weekend and nothing changes. And then the weight spikes up on Monday. But the reason the weight spikes up on Monday is because the scale weight doesn't just measure body fat. It measures all the tissue of the body and anything inside the body. And if you have a weekend of food where you've maybe got more carbohydrates, there's nothing wrong with carbohydrates, but for every 1 gram of carbohydrates, our body holds on to 3 grams of water alongside that. This is called glycogen. So if you ate 125 grams of carbohydrates, you're automatically adding half a kilo, which is just over a pound of weight to the scales. Other things that mean that we can hold more water is if you have more salt over the weekend because of weekend food, that will push your water weight up. If you're stressed, you've had less sleep, if it's a certain time of the month for women, all these things will add more water weight. And you think you've undone everything because you can hold up to 4 kilograms of water weight in a single day. You can see how you'd lose that body fat measurement on the scales, which is why you want to try and take your daily weight at the same time in your birthday suit, first thing in the morning before you've eaten or drank anything. And then you take the average of the week, and then you're comparing weekly averages, not looking at single days in isolation because that'd be volatile and it'll feel like you're riding a roller coaster. Always zoom out when it comes to fat loss because it's a gradual process. So you've worked out your calories, you know how to measure yourself on the scales to get a more of an average number. And the important thing with scale weight is we don't just want to be taking that measurement only because scale weight on its own is a poor measure of progress. You want to take things like progress photos, tape measurements like waist and hip, and even items of clothing just to make sure that they're feeling a little bit looser. I had a client once, she said, my scale weight's not moved at all, I must be doing something wrong, but my clothes are fitting me much better and have gone down a notch on my belt. I was like, well, you're losing fat then, aren't you? And she was like, oh yeah, that's a good point. We get so hung up on the scales. It's a data point that we want to see a trend, but we don't focus on the individual days. So why am I so hungry all the time when I'm dieting? Well, there's a few things that could be going on here. You could just be looking at your calories and just making your existing diet smaller. And if your existing diet is predominantly beige food and very little fruit and veg, it's going to be very, very difficult to stick to. You could also be not drinking enough fluid. So you want to be drinking between 2 and 3 litres of water every single day for most people, because sometimes when we feel hungry, actually we're thirsty. And a really good way to test that is to use the hunger scale. Ask yourself the question when you're feeling a bit hungry, would you eat an apple? And if the answer's, I don't really feel hungry for an apple, then think, well, when did I last have a drink? It was quite a while ago. Right, have a drink of water, wait 10 minutes, and then you'll probably be fine till lunchtime or your next main meal. If you ask yourself the same question, would you eat an apple? And the answer is yes, eat an apple. Just like our parents used to say to us when we were little, saying, can I have something to eat? I'm starving. And my mum would say, no, Craig, dinner's in an hour. Just have an apple if you're hungry. I don't want an apple. Well, then you're not hungry then, Craig. Food doesn't need to be boring. If you don't like veg, you don't like fruit, there's got to be, the amount of different fruits and veggies there are, there's got to be something out there you like. And you can use seasoning and spices. You can blend stuff up. But we're adults and we do need to take responsibility for the types of food that we're putting in our mouth. So what types of food should you be eating? Ideally, we want to be eating 80% of our foods from whole foods. So if our calories for fat loss are 2,000, just because it's round numbers, 80% of the calories of that 1,600 calories come from minimally processed foods or whole foods, single ingredient foods. And then 20% whatever you like. So 400 calories a day can be from whatever you want. So you don't feel like you're missing out. You'll be able to stick for this for longer because overall adherence is the most important thing. Now, there's always going to be a cost implication with buying whole foods. It doesn't need to be organic, but if you look to have minimally processed foods and then top that up with low cost vegetables, you can absolutely volumize your plate whilst having lower calories. But we do need to think about protein, which I've talked about in other videos, and there's a video linked at the end of this where we go into more detail. We need fats, we need fiber. These all help slow digestion and keep us fuller for longer. But the biggest reason a lot of people fail with their diet is they have too much variety. They feel that they need to change their whole diet overnight and always have the next high protein recipe, saving hundreds on your Instagram save folder and never actually having them or getting overwhelmed by the pure number and then just default into something quick out the freezer. We want to reduce the number of decisions by 14. So 21 meals per week, breakfast, lunch and dinner. If you can eat the same breakfast or variation of breakfast every single day and 1 or 2 different lunches, you've only got to think about the evening meals. Plan those ahead and you will stick to it. Because those that plan ahead and know what they're eating will stick to that rather than making decisions when they're hungry and their willpower is at its lowest, because willpower is finite. Motivation is rubbish. We want systems. And the number 1 meal to get right first time is breakfast. And if you struggle with that, watch this video here. I talk about the breakfast that I have that helps me maintain my weight and lose the weight in the first place. And I cover a lot more about the amount of protein and something called a leucine threshold, which is really important, especially as we get older.